Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up with CBD. I am your host, that CBD girl. Happy April. Happy Aries season. Happy 420. Happy 420 2020. Happy birthday and welcome Taurus season. I think April is my favorite month. And also this is the month I was born. So I had a birthday. Shout out to all the Aries out there. But let's get down to business. As a courtesy disclaimer, please note that the FDA does not test or approve CBD for medical use, and the statements made on this podcast are not intended to treat, cure, or diagnose any illness or disease, and the information I discuss today is based on my own experience with CBD and people and my own research. For a while now, we have been hearing about CBD helping with anxiety, depression, whether it be from a friend or in the media, and I think we may wonder, but does it really work? But does it really? And it's easy to be a skeptic of something so new and simple. So this episode, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to talk about CBD for your mental health, and I'm going to share a very true and personal story that this person was so nice to provide. I just want to advise you that you might cry, and it might be a little graphic, and it might bring up some trauma, some personal trauma for you or maybe someone you might know. But that is why we're sharing. Trauma, unfortunately, happens to so many people, nearly everyone, and it can lead to anxiety, PTSD, mental health conditions, and other things. I think a lot of the time we are taught to mask it, or here, take this pill, and this will help mask it. And what we should be doing is facing it and nurturing it back to health, which is always best to do naturally. But as I stated in the latest podcasts, about anxiety, sometimes Western medicine or pharmaceuticals can be necessary or helpful, and the information discussed here are not statements made by doctors unless we advise so, and in no way am I making a medical claim. This story is about someone with a really traumatizing past who took a journey with CBD to manage her mental health, and she found success. This is Amy's story. So honored to share Amy's story with you guys. She is a newly found friend of mine, and we've had the chance to bond over a couple things, her story amongst a few other things. So thank you so much for this, Amy. So here's her story in her own words. It all started when I was younger. The trauma, I mean. My birth might have been the result of trauma because my dad would force my mom into having sex with him. She was 15 when she got pregnant. I am the result of that. Life wasn't easy. It was a shitfest, to be honest. It was full of abuse and lies. I was molested for the first time by someone I trusted, and I never spoke about it to a single soul. At the age of 8, my dad raped me for the first time. It started with just fingers, and then every night, he was the only adult home, and my brother playing or sleeping, he would add on to what he did. Fingers, then tongue, and then, well, you know. I can still smell the baby oil till this day. I can feel his hands on me. The feeling I felt then is still with me. I woke up in the midst of the night, taped up into his bed, while he did exactly what a dad should not do. I was 12 when I finally told, and it was an accident. It slipped out. I wasn't supposed to say anything, but I did, and when I was 14, I began to have suicidal thoughts and self-harming. I was put on a medicine for anxiety and depression, quote unquote. We all get diagnosed with it at one point, am I right? It was a mission to find the right pill. That didn't make me dizzy and pass out. One even sent me to the mental facility. It worked its black magic on me and drove me nuts. Literally, I tried to jump out of a car on the highway going 80, and the same day I overdosed. It was out of my control at that point. There I was, 23, sitting in the psych office. I switched because I moved. And boom, turns out I was diagnosed all wrong in the first place. I was tested for a few things, and it turned out I didn't have anxiety and depression. I'm bipolar with PTSD and multiple personalities. That's what was causing my anxiety and my depression. Mania led me through different episodes of my life, and I didn't understand it. Neither did some of the doctors, obviously. 9 years being completely misdiagnosed. I heard of CBD for the first time, but I wasn't sure about it yet. I wasn't one for trying new things, and my psych was already trying to get me set on some new medication that I didn't want to take. It caused a lot of paranoia, so I got the medicine, and then my significant other tells me I don't need it and makes me believe I can manage without it. She made me feel powerful, so I got off of it and I started to smoke weed. It would give me anxiety attacks sometimes, but it did help. I started to become manic again, so I would add CBD to the THC, and then it started to make me feel better. Sooner or later, I dropped everything and CBD became my only focus. And here I am today, 3 years later, still talking about CBD, medication-free, and I'm managing just fine. No, it did not cure me. No, my problems aren't gone, but yes, I found something that I feel okay with every single day. I can breathe, I can think, and I am free. So this isn't an easy story to share, but she feels it can help people and others who face similar trauma, and I honestly couldn't agree more. So I'm just going to give you guys a few seconds to let that story resonate, because I know it was a little heavy. Okay, so now that we've had a second, I would just like to say thank the Lord for CBD and that Amy has found it, because this is some major trauma, and I know it can be really hard to believe that I'm about to tell you there is actually a happy ending because of her choices to think naturally and choose CBD. So before we knew too much about CBD or cannabinoids in general, I feel like people in recent years have suggested smoking marijuana for depression and anxiety. So for those of you who do not like medications, and while this does have some success, this is actually the perfect example of what I talked about last episode with using cannabis for anxiety. It can cause some paranoia. It's a very common side effect because of the THC, which is a cannabinoid that causes the high. And for people who already experience anxiety, especially anxiety attacks, in my experience, causes the opposite of what you want from the plant. This is why it's really important to know about the cannabis plant and also yourself. So after talking further with Amy, I learned that she had actually had a pretty traumatic experience when using marijuana, and it resulted in the paranoia when she went back to using it. And in my experience, this is really common, which is even more why there is so much beauty to hemp and CBD. So real quick, let's backtrack. We have marijuana and then we have hemp. Both are cannabis. Both have over 110 cannabinoids. They have antioxidants and they have terpenoids. However, hemp, it does not contain a high amount of the cannabinoid THC, which, like I just said, is the one that gets you high. So although we use it holistically for certain things, the reason why we use CBD is because it doesn't have any side effects. So that is why we choose to extract CBD from hemp, because it has the low amount of THC. So because Amy feels paranoia from high amounts of THC, she decided to try forms of hemp instead, which seemed to have worked for her. She experienced side effects from a lot of the medicines that her doctor gave her, or paranoia from the sensations of the pills. So she mentioned to me that she tried to smoke marijuana again. I think, she just said that in the story. And so after talking to her a little further, she did try many forms of CBD products made from industrial hemp, and it took her a while to find the right product. But thankfully she did. And we hope by sharing this information, it helps and encourages you to find the right product for you. She almost gave up on CBD. She is a very holistic person with a very natural mindset. And when she was trying CBD products, she began with edibles. So it wasn't the right product for her because she wasn't getting relief. So she went back to medication, and then the medication wasn't working out, so she ended up getting a CBD hemp flower and found relief from that. And so she said she does include a lot of many other forms of CBD products in her daily routine, but inhaling the CBD extract has been the most effective for her. And this is likely due to hemp flower being the most unrefined version of the hemp plant, and it contains all the natural cannabinoids and terpenes, antioxidants, and when you inhale it, it is the most bioavailable way for your body to absorb these compounds. So Amy is currently 25, and you can find her by the Instagram handle at 2.cannabishes. And she began using CBD edibles, like I said, which did not provide the relief she was needing. So she found the most relief from CBD hemp flower and other forms of inhaling it, such as hemp extracts. But she does add in CBD topicals, edibles, and pretty much anything else CBD that she can get her hands on. She also told me that she has made a significant life change, and she does a lot of yoga and a lot of meditation, and chooses to have that in her daily life. So overall, she has a healthy and holistic approach. And for a couple years now, she's been completely medication free. And she's confirmed that she's maintaining a happy and healthy life. So I think it's safe to say she's made it. She's free, she says. And I just think that the ending to the story, or shall I say, the beginning, is so beautiful and inspiring, because overcoming trauma like this does not happen overnight. And yes, this is something that she is going to have to work at daily, but the fact that she can do it consciously with all three of her eyes open and help others by encouraging a natural approach to your mental health, we're all here to tell you that you can do it too. So now let's talk do's and don'ts to recap this episode. So do's and don'ts. Don't give up. You have options when it comes to your mental health, and it doesn't always have to be a pill. Don't stop assessing yourself and your health. You may find something that helps, and that can change over time. Do stay open to new approaches, especially natural ones, because they can work. And I know that sounds weird, but it's true. Don't give up on CBD. Finding the right product on your own, it can be challenging, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. So reach out to me, ask me or someone who knows for help, and do seek a medical diagnosis if you are experiencing any anxious feelings that are uncontrollable. It's always important to know what's going on so that you can know how to help yourself. Well, thank you guys for joining me today, this episode. It's been very special, and I hope that it shines some light and brings hope to you, or for those of you who may have had any sort of similar experience or know anyone who does. Tune in with me next episode. We're going to talk stigma, CBD and mamas, and if you have a CBD story to share with me, please do. I'd love to hear it. Email me at thatcbdgirlpodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to thatcbdgirlpodcast.com and scroll all the way to the bottom and send me your story that way. I'd love to hear it. But thanks again, and remember, take your CBD.